BBC News. Hello, I'm Eileen McHugh. There's been another mass shooting in the United States, with a gunman killing 4 people in Louisville, Kentucky. The assailant, who was using a semi-automatic rifle, also died at the scene. Speaking at a news conference, the mayor of Louisville, Craig Greenberg, deplored the attack.
This is really difficult for all of us across the entire city to process and accept. I ask that we respect the needs of the families and loved ones of the people whose lives were lost today. I'm a survivor of a workplace shooting. To the people who survived, I know that you're hurting too. We are here for you as well.
The US Defense Department says the recent leak of secret documents poses a serious security risk. The Pentagon said it was looking at how and to whom the information had been distributed. Barbara Plett-Usher is in Washington.
The Pentagon is still trying to determine the scope of the apparent leak. A spokesman wouldn't say if the documents are genuine, but he did say they appeared to be photographs of classified daily military updates. He said this was a top priority across the U.S. government and that the Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin, was convening meetings with senior leaders daily. U.S. officials are also in high-level talks to reassure allies, he said. The documents include sensitive assessments about some of them, but most provide recent information about the status of the war in Ukraine.
The Italian Coast Guard has been carrying out 2 large-scale operations to rescue migrants from overcrowded boats in the Ionian Sea off Sicily. About 800 people are said to have been travelling on one of the fishing boats and 400 on another. On Sunday, that second boat had been reported as being adrift and taking on water by a migrant charity who raised an urgent alert with the authorities of Italy, Greece and Malta. Separately, Italy's Coast Guard says it's rescued about 2,000 other people since Friday. Migrant arrivals to Italy have risen steeply compared with the same period last year. The leading Kremlin critic, Vladimir Kara-Murza, has declined to ask a Moscow court to acquit him, saying he stands by and is proud of everything he's said. Sasha Schlichter reports.
Vladimir Kara-Murza, who faces 25 years in jail on treason charges for his anti-war comments, told the court it reminded him of the Stalin show trials of the 30s. He said there was nothing to repent. Criminals are supposed to repent. I, on the other hand, am in prison for my political views. I also know, he added, that the day will come when the darkness over our country will dissipate. He said the one thing he blamed himself for was failing over the years to convince enough Russians and politicians in democratic countries of the danger the Kremlin regime posed for Russia and the world.
You're listening to the latest world news from the BBC. The Brazilian President, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, is beginning his state visit to China on Tuesday to discuss bilateral trade and a proposal to end Russia's invasion of Ukraine. He's hoping to discuss the plan when he meets his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping on Friday. Anna Pissarro reports.
Last week, President Lula suggested Ukraine should renounce the Crimean Peninsula, which Moscow annexed in 2014. The Ukrainian Foreign Ministry spokesman, Oleg Nikolenko, responded there was no legal, political or moral reason why Ukraine should give up a centimetre of its land. Last year, Mr. Lula da Silva said President Zelensky was as responsible for the war as his Russian counterpart, Vladimir Putin. Brazil never joined Western efforts to assist Ukraine's defence and sees China's own peace plan as very positive. Ukraine's Western allies argue it tacitly supports Moscow's invasion.
The Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says he's keeping Yoav Gallant on as Defence Minister in a reversal of his previous decision to fire him. Mr Netanyahu said they'd resolved their disagreement after Mr Gallant publicly condemned the government's plan for a radical judicial overhaul as a threat to Israel's security. The US government has applied for an emergency stay on a ruling by a Texas judge suspending approval of the abortion pill mifepristone. Earlier this month, Judge Matthew Kacsmaryk ruled that the drug should not be used, while a case challenging its approval was brought against the US Food and Drug Administration. The FDA says more than 20 years of use shows mifepristone is safe. A study has found that rich elites are consuming too much water, leaving poorer people in cities around the world without basic access. Researchers from Britain, Sweden and the Netherlands say social inequalities are exacerbating urban water crises more than climate change or population growth. BBC News.